for today, August the 10th. We'll now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Jerry, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jerry. Before we move on to the adoption of the agenda, I would like to extend to our recorder here, Judith Gerardo, on behalf of the board, we express our sincere condolences on the passing of your mother.
Thank
And
you.
she's been a great example for you. We can tell by the work that you do here for us.
Thank
So
you.
the board sends its condolences to you. Also, Danitza had to take some time off, take care as a caregiver for her mother. She had a serious case of COVID though too. So we hope everything is well with your mother too.
Thank you, she is.
Okay. And Juanita, we hope you're doing better with your COVID too. Good. Okay, we'll now move on to the adoption of the agenda. Danitza, you recommend the agenda. Everything's in order.
Yes, I do, Chairman.
Okay, the only thing is that I see that's a little different here on the agenda is that Brian asked me to have the city manager speak on the Sonoida building update, and she told me that she couldn't be here. She had another prior agreement that came up, and then she said that the deputy county manager would be here, but the individual in charge of the project, Juan Valderas, who's there, will be making the presentation. That's about the only thing that's different from the requests that have been made. Okay, so on the adoption of the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda of August the 10th as presented and recommended. Motion by Mr. Delsey. Second by Mrs. Thwaites to approve and adopt the agenda as recommended for August the 10th as presented. Discussion? Objections? Motion carried. Call to the public. Danitza?
There is no call to the public at this time, Chairman.
Okay, let's move on to item 5, discussion items. Discussion item number 1, Sonoida building update. Mr. Valderas, if you would please approach the podium there and have an update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm going to provide a brief update on the progress of the Sonoida library building. Last Thursday, there was a meeting in Sonoida, and maybe some of you attended that, where Supervisor Bracker kind of gave an update and got some feedback from the community on that. I was going to be there, but I also had COVID last week, so couldn't be there. So one of the main takeaways is we have been working with Arizona at Work, WIOA, to have them take over one of the spaces that was already there. It was the old Pub Works offices. So we have finished, it's not a remodel, we just kind of painted and put a new floor on there. But what that is allowing us for us to do is bring in a reliable and robust circuit for internet, which will be available throughout the building. So the library and any other partners that come in will be able to use that internet. Later today, this afternoon, I'm going to meet with the architects to finalize the mechanical and the cost estimates of what it's going to cost, and also get a timeline of what that looks like. And I'm hoping that for your guys' next meeting, we'll have that in hand so we could share the timeline and roughly what's going to happen and what stages. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I know this has been a long time coming, but we're finally making progress on that. So does anybody have any questions on?
Mr. Valderas, will you be here at our next meeting to give us the drawings, the architectural, and the timelines, so we can count on you being here present at our next meeting to talk
Sure.
about that?
Do you know when that is?
When's our next
Sorry.
meeting?
September 14th.
September 14th, I think it is. Yes, it is. September the 14th at 10:30 right here. We'll
Sure,
put-
yeah,
we'll-
I will.
We will put you on the agenda to give us an update on that, okay? Okay. Ms. Vanderbilt,
Thank you. I attended that meeting.
Okay.
And I assume everybody has, excuse me, thank you. I attended that meeting and I assume everybody has my notes. I gave it to Denise to pass around. Supervisor Bracker said that the internet service would be up to 1 gigabyte within 2 weeks.
Correct. So CenturyLink is delivering a gig circuit to that building. In about 2 weeks, we hope that all the equipment, everything is tested shortly thereafter. So, I mean, 2-3 weeks, about there, if they don't change their delivery schedule.
All right. And he also said that bids would be going out for construction within 6 weeks.
Correct. So yeah, today we meet with the architects to finalize the mechanical, electrical that's needed for what we're calling the first phase, which is the library portion of that build out. Once we have that, we will go out to bid and take it from there.
All right. And another critical issue for the county and for the architect is to discuss parking in front of the building. Because if you're having a meeting room with a capacity of 40 people, you could easily have 20 cars parked in front of that building.
Okay.
So take that up with your architect when you're talking with him this afternoon. All right, those are critical issues for the building, but at the meeting on Thursday, the library clerk mentioned that the roof leaks and the rugs are wet. And those are immediate issues that that do not have anything to do with the renovation, but have to do with the existing building that need to be addressed
Correct.
immediately.
And I followed up with Tracy, which is our facilities manager. He said that those issues had been addressed. He was going to go out and check on that again. But I spoke with him this morning, and he said that the carpet hasn't been addressed. Sorry, the carpet portion of it has not been addressed. The leak, he mentioned that had been addressed, and depending on how fast we get the project going, there's no sense in ripping out that carpet and then having to rip it out again, or so we are aware of that, and we are looking into it.
All right. So that's valid. Okay. No further questions. Thank you, sir.
thank you, Mr. Vanderbilt. Jerry?
No questions.
Marva? Ed?
I have one question. From the article that I read in the paper about the meeting that was held in Sonoida, one of the concerns that Lynette, the clerk for the library, indicated was actually public oversight for the facilities, and that volunteer organizations like the Rotary Club in Sonoida were willing to establish a system of volunteers to be able to keep that operation going on a full day. I don't know that they want to, comparable to what the county already has in Tubac. The using the model that we have in Tubac, is that being taken care of or being looked into as an option to keep the facilities open at all times to the public?
I will take that back. I'm not in charge of that portion of it, but I will take that back. So, it's something that we could definitely look into.
Yeah, we have a model already at Tubac, so it'd be something to be able to work out with the organizations there.
Right. Yeah. And I know that WIOA, Arizona at Work, will have a presence there. And their purpose is to help the community with any kind of job searching, resumes.
Exactly.
So they'll be open. We're working with them to try to see what their hours are going to be. They might hire someone to just be out there, or they're going to send staff.
Yeah.
I know in the past we did talk to Denita. I mean, this is a while ago, about a partnership with the library of how we could keep that open. But I think it's becoming a larger project. So we will definitely take that back and.
Thank you.
Will any, Mr. Balderas, will any of Mr. Delsey's concerns be addressed by you at our next meeting?
I will try my best to try to get those answers. Those type of questions are probably outside of my control. But I will definitely ask and see if I could either get comment or someone to kind of address those
Or if you
those questions.
take it up with the deputy or the county manager, see if they can help you with that.
Yeah.
Get an answer for him.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, yeah, that's, I mean, although, I mean, it's not something directly that I'm in charge of, but I will make sure that they get word of that.
Okay, thank you. Veronica?
I just have a couple questions. Just concern for health. Have you tested for mold in the building, considering all of that moisture?
Let me double check. I know a year ago, they went through the majority of the county buildings and tested for mold. I'm not sure if that was one of the buildings that they tested. So let me follow up on that.
Thank you. And the second question is for you, Denitza. I know that we've had several other instances where there's been construction. What's historically, have you had to close completely when that's occurred, or do we have other alternatives to consider?
When we closed last year for the roof repair in Nogales, but I kept staff working. It's different now since there's going to be expansion and they're going to be breaking walls and everything. So I have to see how that comes along, whether I'm going to have staff working at Nogales or whether I'm not going to have them working at all. I'll see that when that gets closer to the construction date and everything.
Okay, thanks.
Is that all, Veronica? Okay. Juanita?
Thank you. About the leak, my understanding when I went to the Sonoida Library, I think about July 27th, that it had to do with an air conditioning unit. Are you aware?
Yeah, condensation in one of the units.
Yeah, rather than, I hope this is the case, rather than the heavy rains that they've been having. No books were damaged, but it was very dripping and very wet below a couple of rows of shelves of books. So if it's the air conditioning that was disconnected, the drainage pipe, I assume that's been reconnected.
That was what I was told, that it had been addressed, that it was a condensation line from the AC unit.
Okay.
But I will, Tracy was going to go follow up out there today as well. So we'll make sure that gets addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Nan?
Yes, thank you for being here, Mr. Valdeores. I have two questions. One, when you indicated finalizing the plans and coming back to us with the final plans, do you know at this point if there's much deviation from the plans that we were originally shown by Jennifer St. John?
No, I think the library portion, I think that's pretty much, and I do have a copy if you'd like to take a look.
Okay, sure.
Just pass it down and.
Yeah, that'd be great. Or just hold it up. Yeah.
Okay. So in this portion, it's the library. So that's gonna kind of remain how it was depicted here, right? But these were conceptual. So now we got to get with the architect and actually do the structural and the mechanical and the electrical. So that's the portion that we're going to do next. So from my understanding, this is how the layout that was agreed upon, and that will go forward.
Okay, so what has changed in the rest of the building, just as a FYI?
Sure.
Overall.
So this, I believe, in some earlier depictions was a visitor center. It's now where WIOA is located. Because I think originally they were going to take some space from the main meeting room, right? They were going to take some space from the main meeting room to kind of house them. So it kind of just made more sense and more cost effective to just not take down walls, build walls, move electrical, right? And then just put them in that one room that already existed. And subsequent, iterations, we'll start maybe developing some of the workshop portion of it. I know that the community has strongly supported a larger meeting room than what this can currently support. So that might be an option of turning in the entire workshop into, a meeting room or something like that. So, but we're not there yet. So, we'll finalize the like I say, the mechanical, electrical on the library side and get working on that.
Okay. Great. Okay. And my second question relates to what both Juanita and Veronica asked you about, having to do with a potential health issue with the wet carpeting. Is that carpeting, my question would be, is that carpeting still wet? And if it is, why wait 2 weeks to take it up before you start? I mean, we could be criticized overall as having a potential health issue.
Right.
So I would suggest that perhaps that be looked at a little more closely.
Yeah. I'll have facilities take a look, see. I haven't been out there in the past couple weeks, so I'll try to make my way out there and take a
Thank
look
you.
at that.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Mr. Banderas, thank you very much for your presentation. I know you on a tight schedule. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to your updated presentation at our next meeting on September the 14th. And Anita will call you to remind you for your presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item 2 on the agenda, discussion and possible action to approve minutes of June the 8th, 22 meeting. Marva?
I move that we accept the minutes of the June 8th, 22 meeting, and with a thank you to Judith. We go back and forth with those minutes, and she does a great job. I appreciate that.
I second.
Who seconded the motion? Oh, okay. Veronica. Motion by Marva, seconded by Veronica to approve the minutes of June the 8th, 22 as presented. Discussion? Objections? Motion carried. We'll now move on to item 3, Centennial Celebration. Mr. Vanderbilt.
Thank you. Well, since I didn't think I was going to be in attendance today, I prepared these notes, which you received, and really nothing has changed since I hit the send button yesterday. Maybe, perhaps board members may have questions of me of anything they see in this report, in these notes. I have a couple observations to make, and that is in the second or third paragraph, when it was the opinion of the city representatives that the funding for the following fiscal year was insecure. I know, Mr. Verona, you were instrumental in those discussions with the city. Do you feel confident that we would have another $10,000? I mean, I know it's political, and I know it's budgets, and I know it's income, and I know all those issues. But what was your sense of those conversations?
My conversations is, and with the strong leadership that we've had from Danitza, that we would approve it. I think that the mayor and council, the president, mayor and council, are ecstatic the work that every member of this committee is doing and your devotion of time. That was the biggest marketing tool that we have right now, that we're here, we're present, and we're watching what's going on. So I don't think that there would be a problem.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Very, very good to know. Thank you very
And it was
much.
very helpful. I will tell you this, it was very helpful that Danitza kept on, at that time, the deputy city manager who was in charge as the acting city manager, that we wanted to attend their budget hearings. We were going to be there. And fortunately, Danitza was able to take care of everything there for us.
Well, in reference to that exact point, in my comments here in one of the paragraphs, I pointed out Mr. Kissinger has a very positive attitude towards the centennial celebrations. His comment says we can get it done. Those were
And it has
pretty much
helped that he has come to our meetings, though, too, to listen.
true.
the dialogue.
Okay, so into those points. Then again, the very last question I had was the technicality of how vendors will work with the city on anything that they provide, either as a service or creating a product. So Denitza, can you explain how that would work? I mean, for example, if we reach a contract to construct street banners, how will they be paid for?
It would have to be a PO, a requisition would have to be made. It would have to go through me. If it's less than $3,500, then it would go to that one sole vendor. If it's more than $3,500, then we would have to get 3 bids. And we would have to, that's the city policy. So that's how we would go.
Quotes or bids?
Bids. Just quote. Oh, 3 different quotes.
Quotes, right.
My bad. Thank you. So 3 different quotes if it's over $3,500.
Okay, I had no knowledge of how that worked, so thank you. Less than 3,500 is direct, okay. Always learning, thank you. All right, other than that, I can just mention that I have tried to contact again Edgardo Munoz, who was the contact for making the banners and perhaps other services for our committee. And this is a gentleman who just doesn't answer his phone. I've left him voicemails and I will continue to pursue him. I do have, Mr. Kissinger gave me 2 sample banners. They were Christmas banners that the city held, and actually they're in my car. As far as the specific towards the issue of the banners, a major factor will be whether they're vinyl or whether they are fabric. Fabric will last longer, vinyl not so much. And I have, the final decision on that will be based on cost, and I have no idea where we're going there, having not spoken to Mr. Munoz.
You conclude, Mr. Vanderbilt?
I have concluded.
Mr. Vanderbilt, thank you for all the work that you're doing with this. But I just want to bring out just one item of concern for me that's, as a member of the council, it has been very disturbing to me, and I have consistently voted no on this. I do not believe in having alcoholic beverages for anything that we have that's related to students or children or whatever we're doing for that. I don't agree with that at all, and I know that you would have to get a license, and if this board was to approve it, I would just tell this board up front right now, I would be there to protest that. I just don't agree that we should have alcoholic beverages with any kind of activities that we promote with high school students or children. I just do not agree with that at all. Besides that, I'm in complete agreement with everything you've done so far. Thank you for the
Noted,
work.
thank you.
Okay, Jerry?
There's a board meeting, committee meeting today, is that correct?
Correct, this afternoon at 2:30.
Jared, don't forget your microphone so the public can hear you.
Will that meeting be here, Brian?
It'll be in the meeting room at First Yuma.
Ed, don't forget to turn on your microphone so the public can hear when you speak. Jerry, do you have anything else?
No.
Marva?
Yeah, I just want to comment that the money that we generate, I think, should be used toward the library
The money we generate,
for the centennial.
oh, okay.
The money that we use for the centennial celebration should be for books, library, shelves, chairs, anything having to do with the library, and not necessarily, I'm not really in favor of having what did you call it? Anyway, I'm just not in favor of that.
In favor of, not in favor of what? Yeah, I don't.
Of the, what did you guys call it? The botanas and
The reception?
wine and, the reception. The speaker's great. Yeah, I think that, I don't know who would be on the invitation list for that, because I know the space would be limited, very limited. And I think it should be more focus on the people of our community that use the library. And I see it being more, I don't know yet, but I feel like it might be more, the important people in our community, and I don't think that's who that should be for.
Okay.
It should be for the clients of the library, children
And I'm sure that Mr. Vanderbilt is taking note of all of our comments, and so he can take it back to the committee to express the concerns and see what they come back with.
Okay.
Anything else, Mark? Okay. Ed?
Oh, I'm comfortable with what we're doing. Thank you.
You're okay? Juanita?
Yes, I have read the information about the special section in the newspaper, and I just want the committee to know that I'm happy to help write articles or update articles as needed for that particular section.
Great.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Juanita? Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I got Veronica, Juanita, now we're down to Nat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down to me, all right. Okay, I have several thoughts. First of all, when Brian and I met with Manuel Coppola at the Nogales International, he was more than enthusiastic about this project. And he volunteered the idea of having a 12 to 20 page special section that he would print in numerous different iterations, that he might even run twice in the newspaper. He said, as long as we can provide the editorial content, Juanita has generously said that she would contribute to that. I will be contributing to that. Kathleen Vandervoot is going to contribute to that. And I'm going to line up a couple of other writers. They should be short articles with artwork, talking about everything from the history and people who were significant in the history of the library to what the library, the calendar of events for different events we're going to have at the different branches, plus the main branch. We'll have a place to list sponsors in that section. He said he would also help us with social media, promoting the libraries. He also said that he would help us work out a plan for developing the letters to the library contest, that he has someone who does that type of thing. And so I will get with Denitza about that, and so will Brian. And then I will meet again with Mr. Coppola to discuss that further and sort of kickstart that process. So he's really enthusiastic about that. Now, I want to go back to I think what might be a misunderstanding about the event, the scheduled event at the library. From my understanding of our prior Centennial Committee meetings and other discussions, we're planning to have two different events. One for the public to address your concern, which would be a kid-friendly, family-friendly, user-friendly, the people who use the library, a special birthday celebration party. The idea behind the January reception was not to have it with kids or to jeopardize anybody's sensibility about alcohol around children. There would be no children at this event. It would be for our mayor and our newspaper publishers and people who have helped the library in the past and continue to do so as a way of celebrating the library's history. It would be a reception with wine and cheese, and it would be very, low key as far as any alcoholic concept. And I don't think that's a threat to anybody's, to any children in that environment. So I just wanted to clarify that there are two different functions that are planned, in addition to all the functions that would be the different events that would be planned at the different libraries, which would all be, user-oriented toward the library. So those would be my comments, but stay tuned. We'll have more information on all of these things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brian or Nan, this reception, are you seeking a sponsor for the reception?
Are we seeking sponsors? Is that what you said? Well, we haven't yet, but it's a thought that goes through my mind. In fact, we could, because whenever we talk about approaching someone for a donation, we want to have a concrete end to their donation. So perhaps you would contribute for the banners. That's fixed. You could contribute to the reception. That would be fixed. You could contribute if we put a banner in front of the building, which is something else Mr. Munoz and I discussed. We could have, a contribution for that. So it would be a destination for the contribution. So yeah, we could look for ask for donations for the reception. Yes.
Okay. Because we couldn't use the city funds for that, for the alcohol.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct, Denise, to your knowledge? All right. These are things I don't know, so thank you for informing me.
Things I'm learning along the way too. It's the first time we do an event like this, so it's a learning process for all of us, I think.
Okay. Jerry, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I have a comment about the international. I know, there's a possibility for the public or for companies to buy ads to support a Christmas event, for kids. And these ads are not cheap, they're a couple $100, $300. And, we would not really want to be, providing money to the international over and above. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Yes. The international will be selling the ads. We will not get involved in any sale of ads.
Yeah.
They sell the ads to support the printing of that special section.
Right.
So,
But they also make, money. I mean, if we're going to be asking them, companies for money to support the event or the centennial, and then
they're two different things.
If they give $300 to the international for an ad celebrating the.
Well, according to
centennial.
Mr. Coppola, they've had many instances where sponsors of a particular program have done both. They've sponsored a particular event for a program, and they've also taken an ad, and that's been their choice. So, we did talk about, eliminating any competition between people that we might be approaching for sponsorship. But he said that should not hold you back in going for your own sponsors. So I wouldn't worry about what he's going to do for his sponsorship of the publication. I would just go full bore on what you're doing as far as getting sponsors for the library and for the celebration, however you see fit as the Friends of the Library. Don't worry about what Mr. Copa is going to do. This is just to cover his costs. And the fact that he's doing it with such enthusiasm, I think, is fantastic. We should not micromanage that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for reaching out to Mr. Coppola and establishing a good relationship with him. My question or thought is, this is an excellent time during any of the discussions that you're having to possibly consider a quarterly opportunity to put information into the paper, as opposed, it shouldn't be one time. That's what I'm hoping. So,
yeah, it's not going to be one time. He's going to promote, because if we do the reception for the private reception, so to speak, I don't want to say private, but for, city people and people who have contributed to the library in the past, that would take place in January, according to what we've got on our schedule at this point, and he would certainly promote that ahead of time. And he said he would do stories in advance as well. So he's fully in. Yeah.
and I'm looking at it as way beyond Centennial, so that we would have a place to provide information to the public as to what's going on in the library. Let's say quarterly or whatever.
Oh, we haven't discussed that with him.
But I'm just suggesting.
But it's a good idea.
Putting it out there as another option, because if you notice, the Patagonia Regional Times always has the library, an article on the library, and it's excellent. It gives a lot of good information. So whatever we can do to make it an ongoing opportunity for publicizing what the library at all of our branches are doing would be great.
He's going to depend on us to feed him the news for that coming from the library, because they don't have the staff to be running around doing, unfortunately. Okay. But I think whenever you've sent something from the library, they've published it. So it's up to the library to set their own schedule of when they want to promote their events and be timely about that.
Does everybody conclude on this agenda item here?
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Delcy.
I think in reality, for Nogales, we have an opportunity to enhance the relationship between the library system that we have and the local newspaper.
Right.
And in the past that we've worked with Mr. Coppola, he's been receptive, and I'm glad that he continues to be receptive. And we have an opportunity, because of the celebration itself, that we can enhance that relationship. And I would encourage it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Delcy. Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next item on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else you'd like to contribute? If not, we're going to move on to item 4 of the agenda, board reappointment of Juanita Hireville by the Board of Supervisors. We submitted Juanita's name for reappointment, and she was approved unanimously for another 3-year term. Okay. Item number 5, media release project. Nan?
I think that I was not sure about that. Oh, I'm sorry. I was not sure about that item when I saw it on the agenda this morning. I believe it was had to do with Ed's original press release about the centennial. So that will be coordinated with the Nogales International. We're still a little ahead of that because we don't have some specific dates for some of these events. And I think it should be a spot on, very specific article. So I will keep you apprised of that.
So if you wanted anything else on the agenda, you'll let Danitza know.
I definitely will.
Okay, thank you, Nan. We'll now move on to item 6, library budget for 2022 and 2023. Danitza?
Chairman, board members, if you look at your packet, you will see a couple of pages that start with department budget and performance. And it's up here too, except I don't know how to get it on screen, on the complete screen. Ah, it looks smaller though. Okay, but you have your copy too. So that first page, it gives you the basic, this is from the finance budget book from the city. So it was compiled by the finance department and myself with the library's numbers. So these graphs are from 2019 to the proposed budgets to 2023. One is capital, one is transfers, there's debt, there's the supplies, contractual services, professional services, and payroll. If you notice on staffing, we do have an additional staffing position for 2023, and that is going to be the Rio Rico Library Assistant. And just so you know, we did have interviews yesterday. We had 15 candidates. Well, actually, we had 40 people apply, and we interviewed 15 yesterday.
40 people applied for this?
And this is for the Rio Rico Library Assistant, and their schedule is going to be Tuesday through Saturday. And I'll have a better report next month for you with that.
That's a full-time position?
That is a full-time position. That's an extra position. Yes, library assistant. Yes.
When do you expect to have that position filled?
I want to start right after Labor Day. That's what I'm hoping for. That way it coincides with a pay period and they start on a pay period. So I'm hoping September, what's the day after Labor Day? September 5th, 6th? So they should start that week.
This is a really big deal for Rio Rico, and thank you so much. Anybody that had anything to do with it. I think publicizing it once we get a specific date that Saturday will be open is a big deal. I get asked all the time, is the library open on Saturday? And, that sort of thing. So if we can put a press release out when it's firmed, when the date is firm, I think that would be very, very important.
Yes, that's a really good idea. When the person comes in, we will take a picture, we'll send it to the International with a new schedule for the Rio Rico Library. I just need to remind myself, but yes, thank you. On the second and third pages after is the budget, the library's budget. A few changes that were made there. If you see under professional services, 001 440 6580, special events, that's the $10,000 for the centennial. So that's where the money's gonna be coming from, that budget item. The one right underneath, it says other professional services, but that's a line budget item that we use for our outreach events, our children's activities, just so you know, and our presenters, since they're coming back, since we're doing in-person programming again. We do have some money now for advertising and printing, training. If you look at the third page, there was, in capital expenses, there was an audit, and so they had to move the 440-9101, which is what we use for the materials. They moved it over to 7020 to general materials because books were not a capital expense and that hadn't been looked at thoroughly. So now that it is, it's being brought into our general fund, the library's general fund. So a few little things there. And the library was approved to replace shelves, desks at the branch libraries, $8,000. The main library renovations, which come out to $33,900. We're already in contact with a company, and the carpet is going to be replaced in a couple of weeks. The staff bathroom is going to start getting done. And the main entrance, we're still working on some quotes at the main entrance, and the employee entrance are going to be replaced. And the 2 AC units. I'm still working on the quotes for that, but those are going to be replaced too. The 2 air conditioning, cooling units.
Danitza,
Yes.
can you just update the board on the break-in, what you've done to correct the things they came in through the roof, what's been done about that?
That was fixed. So there was a when the library was broken into, the skylight was removed, but it wasn't broken. So they were able to patch up the skylight. The welding underneath was what was needed to be replaced, and that has been replaced. And all of the costs and everything has been sent to the insurance company. Just waiting to hear back when we'll be reimbursed.
And did the police haven't showed up here to give their security report this meeting? Was everything okay?
For
The policeman, remember he comes, I forgot the name of the sergeant.
do you want me to get him for next meeting?
Yeah, for next,
Okay.
just to make sure.
All right.
it's
Okay.
with security.
Mhm.
Would you please?
Yes.
Anything else from any member of the board? Danitza? Have you concluded, Danitza?
Yeah, I was just going to say we got the library grants, state grants in aid, the E-rate, and there's actually another grant that we just got, but Denise will talk about that right now. Other than that, do you have any questions for me?
Go ahead.
Nitsa, I'm just curious, professional services on this chart, for 22, let's see, am I reading this correctly? Yeah, you go from 4,000 to 34,500. Is there some significant thing that you're doing that makes that jump so?
Yeah, there was another movement. If you go to that page under professional services, there's 3 things. So there's a $20,000 line item that's always there for for IT. That was brought over to professional services. So that's 20,000 plus the 10,000 for the centennial and the 4,500 for the children activities. So that's all been grouped. That's why it's different. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Have you finished, concluded?
Yes.
Okay. Brian?
No questions.
Gary?
No.
Marva? Ed? Veronica? Juanita? Nan?
No, good job.
Okay. Thank you, Danitza. We'll now move on to item 6 on the agenda, board reports. Current events summaries must be brief, and there cannot be any proposal, discussion, deliberation, or legal action taken. Nan?
No, not at this time.
Juanita? Veronica? Ed? Marva? Jerry?
No.
Brian?
Not at this time, thank you.
The only thing I would like to report is I attended Jump Back at Nogales Unified School District where the kids received colors, backpacks, clothing. And I noticed when I was there that the library had a post there. And it was manned by Karina Martinez, Laura Rodriguez, and Luis Oviedo. And let me tell you, I stood by the booth that they had, and they did a wonderful job marketing the library. Just a positive. I mean, their interactions with all the children was wonderful. They kept them there. They talked to them. They explained to them the importance of the library. They gave them the handouts and everything. And I just thought it was a positive image builder for our library with that. And I think, well, maybe next year we can put up a banner there. It's our 100th birthday, though, too, for the kids to also know that, though, too. Okay? Thank you for that, Danitza. Please express to those 3 individuals how much the board appreciates the positive image they brought to the library and the board itself here, okay?
Thank you. I will pass that along. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Library Director's Report. 1, Arizona Library Support Certificate. Denise?
I just want to take this time before I pass it to Denise just to recognize Denise's efforts and her continued dedication. She has obtained her Arizona Library Support Certificate that was given by the Arizona State Library, and she is going to move on to get her national certification. So I'll let Denise talk a little bit more about that.
Congratulations.
Good morning. I took the classes. It was difficult to manage, but I learned a lot of new things. I took classes from management, how to cope with stress at work, how to deal with difficult patrons, how to deal with coworkers, how to be a team player. So it was different classes. I had to do deep searches sometimes on the catalog, on certain books of the library. Sometimes I was with staff members. I was like, can you ask me questions? Because it was, sometimes you had to talk to a patron and get feedback from them. So it was interesting. And I learned a lot from other librarians as well, because we had like a group chat where you could talk about your library and if you needed any help with the homework, because I had homework that I had to do, and managing it between work and doing the homework was a little difficult sometimes, but I was able to finish that, and I will be receiving the national certificate as well in 2 weeks.
Good. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
This additional education that you're getting to enhance your abilities to deal with things at the library is very good. And we're glad anything that we can do to help you as you continue to escalate your educational background.
Thank you so much. And I've had full support from Danita. She's really good.
Okay, good. Nan?
Yes, Denise, you just gave me an idea for our Nogales International Special Section. I think it would be great if we did a short piece on how the library staff continues to expand their experience and their knowledge, because I think the public needs to know that.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Juanita? Veronica? Ed?
Thank you.
The only question I have is that discussions has continuously come up within our Friends Committee for private reading areas, comfortable reading areas in the library. and I had discussed it with Denise before, and she indicated that the former entrance on the north side of the library area is a fairly large now designated teen space. And just going over that and using it even myself, I wondered if we couldn't address the space, because we wouldn't use that much space for a quiet reading area, if we just divided part of that space with stacks, a stack that would separate the teen area and the reading area, and keeping it within the library and within the interest that the members have to have a quiet reading area in each one of our library facilities.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I would like to
Okay,
add.
we'll put that up for a future agenda. Thank you, Ed. Marva? Gary?
No.
Brian?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, let's move on to the second item there. Checkout Learning Playaway Grant. Denise?
Okay, so the library received another grant this year. We are going to get 21 launch pads. So the launch pads are like iPads for the kids that have different programs. So they're going to vary. There's going to be launch pads for the children, for the teens, and some for adults. So you had to apply, write a short essay saying how it was going to benefit your community and your libraries. So we received that grant, and the launch pads are on the way. So it's new technology for the library.
Good, very good. Is that worthy of another article?
Oh, probably.
Okay. All righty. Let's move on to item 3, Teen Space Update. Anita? Or then?
I just wanted to let the board know that the Teen Space Desk has arrived. The 3D printer has been ordered, a Wi-Fi extender, and armchairs have been ordered. There's a national shortage of supplies right now, furniture supplies, but they will be arriving in a month. And that's thanks to South 32, so it's coming along.
When you, go ahead, Nat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just writing down what you were saying. You got a 3D printer ordered, armchairs ordered, and there were 2 other items you mentioned?
A Wi-Fi extender.
Okay.
Because the Wi-Fi doesn't extend to that side of the library for some reason, so that's coming in too.
Okay. And there was one other item. Wi-Fi extender was first, I think.
Wi-Fi, the 3D printer, the armchairs, the desk is already there, so we're good.
Great.
And I'll keep you posted next month to see what else arrives.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. What was the summer programs?
That was the Teen Space.
Okay,
And
now we're moving on to the summer programming at the library.
So the summer program, it was good to get back with the in-person. We had the petting zoo, we had the firefighters, and then right now we're continuing to do more in-person activities for the children. We continue to do also the grab and go activities. So we're getting back with the story times. We're getting back with the Lego Club. And there was a new workshop that we received, more technology. It's called the Makey, where it's just a bunch of wires that the kids connect to themselves and they can control the computer. So that was one of the activities.
Okay, let's move on to item 5, Nogales Unified School District Back to School Event. Danitza.
Dr. Verona, I think you talked about it already, so we can move on. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Number 6 is, according to the bylaws, we are supposed to have our elections of officers this month. So there's 3 positions, the chairman, the vice chairman, and the secretary. Is that correct, Anita?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's start with the chairman. I'll open it up if anybody wants to be chairman or like, hop on. Let's get some involvement here. You know, we should,
You're not in-
everybody should take a turn. Whatever you want to do.
Can I make a motion
Sure you can.
to nominate Mr. Dr. Verona as our chairperson and Juanita Havel as our vice president and Marva as our secretary? Move to accept the slate
There's a
officers.
motion by Nan to name Marcelino Varona as chairman. Veronica? Juanita, I'm sorry, Juanita as the vice chairman. And Marva Thwaites as the secretary. Is there a second to the motion?
Second the motion.
Second by Brian Vanderbilt. Discussion. Objections. Motion carried. Thank you
Congratulations, everybody.
Yes.
for your comment. Future agenda items. Nan?
Right.
Good luck.
Well, if you're absent, see. I thought maybe you weren't going to be here today. We could have. We could have previously.
For the celebration, the centennial update, that will be Brian.
Nan?
Sorry, no, not at this time.
Okay. Then Juanita?
We already have on the agenda the report from is it Mr. Valderos, who's going to talk about the
Yes,
Sonoida
he will be
update.
here next
Yeah.
week.
Is the Jennifer St. John, will she be at that?
We will ask her. A matter of fact, I'll call her today to see if she can get it on her calendar so she can be here also.
Very good. Thank you.
Veronica? Ed? Marva? Jerry?
No.
Brian?
What's this item? What's the discussion? What are we?
Oh, the item right now that we're dealing with is future agenda items.
Oh, future agenda items. Well, I've got something on mine, but it's not specific enough. Excuse me. So I'll wait for a future meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Or you can just, if anybody at any time has a future agenda item beyond the meeting, in between meetings, just send it to an email to Danitza, and then when we meet, she'll tell me that you requested this, and then we place it onto the agenda, okay? All right, the date of our next meeting is September the 14th at 10:30 here. Is there any problem with that with anybody? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:29.
So move.
Motion by Ed. Seconded by Juanita, that we adjourn this meeting at 11:29. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.